Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the latest offerings from MMI Watches. We have the Awagami factory watches with washi paper dials. There's 3 colorways of this watch on offer. I'll leave a link in the description below. There's white, there's orange, and there's a 3rd color, which I forgot what that is, but like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below. These watches are currently around $352 US. The prices are in SGD, which is Singaporean dollars. And for the month of December, they're 30% off. Next month, I believe it's 28%. And then the month after that, it's 25%. So these are a pre-order right now. And I believe they'll ship in March of 2024. Then they have 5 different colors with date, and you can see there's a date, well, not a date wheel, but the date is around the inner circumference of the dial here, and down at 17, you may not be able to see it, but this is a transparent or translucent dial, and then right there behind 17 there's an indicator there. I can see it by eye here, but it's also UV, it's luminescent. So, drop my flashlight there. But yeah, very cool. All 3 of these have a Sapphire dial. And then this is the no date version, which is also offered in 3 colorways. And there's a neat trick with the lume on this watch, which I'll show you towards the end of the video. I wore the washi paper dial on my wrist for a little bit here. This, you know, I don't know. I think this is my favorite dial, but I like the other ones too. So I'd have a really hard time picking one. I would probably get the washi paper though. Maybe not in white. It's a little bit harder to see this paper dial. It's very cool the way that they manufactured this watch. You can see the indices in Arabics. Everything is printed on top of that Sapphire dial. And then the washi paper is sandwiched in between the Sapphire dial and then the movement below. You can see screws at 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock on all 3 of these watches. So washi paper was selected for this dial due to the texture and also the thinness of the paper. The paper is incredibly thin. It's made in Japan at the Awagami factory. And the paper is 10% the thickness of a normal printer paper. So that's extremely thin. I'd like to get some of that in hand and just see how that feels. So let's move on to the next watch here. So this is the Norlight with date. And MMI, kind of their signature thing is this date wheel, the way that they have the date on here. And it's kind of backwards of how I think it would be, but all of their dials are like this. Instead of going 1 through 31 this way, it goes 1 through 31 the other way, just the way the date works on the movement. This has the Miyota 9015 movement, and then the no date watches have the Miyota 9039 movement, so a true no date movement. First position is hand winding. These are all just push-pull crowns, which is perfectly fine with me. 100 meter water resistance. And then next click out, the second hand stops. So yeah, that's really appreciated using a true no-date movement with a no-date watch. So first click out here is to adjust the date, and then pulling it all the way out, the second hand stops, and you can change the time, set the time here. And then again, first position is hand winding. And then I can see it, hopefully you can see it on your screen, but you can see parts of the movement right through that crystal. So it's very cool to look at that. All of these watches do have display case backs. This does have printing on it. These are the Northern Lights, or representation of the Northern Lights. Yeah, so you can see there, Miyota 9015, Sapphire dial, 316L stainless steel, a Norlight, and looks to be a limited edition. This is 2 of 250. It's just probably a pre-production sample. And then this is the no date, and then it has the northern lights on the dial, as well as the case back. So sapphire dial, stainless steel 316L. Norlight 2 of 250, 100 meter water resistant, and then there it says Miyota 9039. So each case back is custom. I mean, it has the actual number, limited the model number, and then the movement on there. So very cool. Nice bracelet too, very comfortable on wrist. It doesn't have as much taper as I'd like, but it still is tapered. It tapers from 20 down to 18. So polished center links, brushed outer links, 5-link bracelet. Links are fairly small, so getting it sized to fit your wrist, not a problem at all. And we do have 5 micro adjusts, dual pusher with safety clasp, stamped safety clasp, stamped clasp, stamped there. We do have solid end links with quick release pins, solid links, and you size them using screw pins. So a nice bracelet all around, and female end links, so wears very nicely on wrist. Looking at 46.8 millimeter lug tip to lug tip, 39.5 watch diameter, nice and thin at 12 millimeter thick. Big benefit of using the Miyota movement. Also is 8 beats per second, should be around 42 hours power reserve. Nice smooth sweep to the second hand there. And as I mentioned, 20 millimeter lug width, tapering down to 18. And this watch, well, they're all going to be the same, but this one is sized for my wrist, and it weighs in at 133 grams. 5.3 millimeter signed loomed crown. I'd like a little bit bigger of a crown, but it's not terribly small. It's a little bit small, but not too small, if that makes sense. So I think it's a good looking watch. I really like the unique dials on this. With the washi paper dials, every dial will be slightly different since it's a handmade product. Let's zoom in on dial here. I'll be able to see it as easily on this one, but yeah, you won't see it on this one. But the indices are basically floating since they're printed on the top layer. But since this entire dial is translucent, you won't see that effect. And let's see if we'll see it on this one here. Yeah, you can see it a little bit better on this one. So the indices kind of look like they're just floating, even though they are printed. Lume, we have X1, BG, W9, and C3 lume, depending on the model. I believe this one has 2 different color looms, or perhaps this one does, but we'll see that here in a moment. It does have a single domed sapphire crystal with 5 layers of AR coating applied to the underside. So let's get this watch on wrist, and then we'll check out the lume. Real neat what they did with the lume here. So I have a 6.5-inch wrist with a 52 millimeter wristband, and I think it looks good on my wrist. Maybe a little big, but not crazy. If it had a rotating bezel, then it'd look a little bit smaller, but seeing how it just has a fixed bezel, it may look a little bit large on my wrist, but it's not crazy big. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, and it really helps me out. All right, let's take a look at the lume. All right, so I threw my SKX in here just for some contrast and give you an idea of the brightness of the lume. The SKX definitely has a better lume, but it is a dive watch, and I believe these are pre-production models, so the lume may be better on the production models. But you can see the trick here with the watch, well, kind of in the middle of the screen, where it has the northern lights printed on the dial and lume. So very cool feature there. And then we have the date just to the right, lower right of that. And then far left is the washi paper dial. So let me move the SKX off the table and we'll take a look at the case back here. Also the crowns are loomed right there. And then the case back is loomed as well. Surprised that's showing up. I did not hit that with the UV light, so let's do that now. There we go. Nice and bright. Very cool feature on the case back. And then this one has that same case back as well. I like how it has a little crescent moon in there too. It's pretty cool. You see the stars and then the northern lights. I guess that'd be about the right orientation there. Looks to have trees down the lower portion of the dial, of the case back, sorry. And then there's the dial again. Loomed crown. And let's see if this has lume on the back. I did not check that. Looks like it does not. It might. Let's see. Yep, that's loomed as well. Very cool. And then you can see the perimeter of that case back has lume too. Or maybe it's just a reflection off of there somehow. So very neat. I have not seen a loomed display case back like this before. Alright, well that will conclude this video. As always, thank you for your time and thank you for watching.